Hello, Namaste. Hope you all are doing good. Myself, Professor Vilas Anil Chavan, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Forensic Science, Yashwantrao Chavan Autonomous Institute of Science, Satara. So, in this lecture, we are going to study unit number 1, that is crime scene management, from the paper number BFST 301, and the name of paper is Criminalistics 1. So first we will discuss about the content of unit number 1. So first we will discuss about the evidence, physical evidence and crime scene. Then we will be discussing about different types of crime scene. It may be microscopic, indoor, outdoor, and apart from this there are different other types of crime scene that also we'll discuss in detail. Then after that we will learn about the securing and isolating the crime scene, how one can secure and isolate the crime scene, then how to survey and how to search the evidences into the crime scene, and what are the different safety measures that can be taken by the IOs, that is investigating officer on scene of crime. That also we'll discuss in this lecture. And at last we will discuss duties of first responders at crime scene. So this is the content of unit number 1. So first, in a broad way, evidence is anything presented in a court in support of an assertion or a statement made. This support may be strong and weak. The strongest type of evidence is that which provides direct proof of the truth of assertion or statement. On the other side is the evidence which is merely consistent with the assertion, as in the case of circumstantial evidence. Henceforth, evidence is something legally submitted to a competent tribunal, or we can say in court, as a means of ascertaining the truth of any alleged matter of fact under investigation before it, or simply any object that can establish that a crime is committed and can link a victim and a suspect to a crime is an evidence. In law, rules of evidence govern the type of evidence that are admissible in a legal proceedings. And types of legal evidences includes testimony, documentary evidence and physical evidences. Now we'll talk about physical evidence. So physical evidence is any evidence introduced in a trial in the form of physical object intended to prove a fact in issue based on its demonstrable physical characteristics. In simple words, physical evidence are objects that can establish the crime has committed or can establish a link between a suspect and a victim of the crime with each other and with the scene of crime. As all the crime scenes are unique in nature, so almost anything can be treated as physical evidence depending on the type of crime and the circumstances under which the crime was committed. It may not be possible to enlist the type of object to be recovered as physical evidence in particular type of case. Several different types of physical evidences like pieces of glass, paint, soil, cement, saliva, hair, nail clippings, finger and footprints are very commonly found. However, the weight given to each piece of evidence is ultimately decided by the jury. So here, evidences are recognized, collected from a crime scene and sent to the crime scene laboratory, or we can call it as forensic science laboratory, for scientific analysis according to the requirements of the investigative officer. And here As per the section 157 of Indian CRPC, the crime scene is the richest source of physical evidences. So here, Kirkpaul described the physical evidence in United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime manual as wherever he steps, whatever he touches, whatever he leaves, even unconsciously, will serve as silent evidence against him. Not only his fingerprints or his footprints, but his hair, the fiber from his clothes, the glass he breaks, the tool marks he leaves, the paint he scratches, the blood or semen he deposits or collects, all this and more bear mute witness against him. This is evidence that does not forget. It is not confused by the excitement of the moment. It is not absent because human witness are. It is a factual evidence. So here, physical evidence cannot be wrong. It cannot perjure itself. It cannot be wholly absent. Only its interpretation can err. Only human failure to find it, study and understand it can diminish its value. So this is how Kirkpaul has described the physical evidence. Now next is crime. So in simple word, a crime is an unlawful act punishable by state or other authorities. A crime or an offense is an act harmful not only some individual but also to a community, society or the state. Such acts are forbidden and punishable by law. So this was all about the crime. Now next we will discuss about the crime scene. So how to define a crime scene? Crime scene is a place where crime has occurred. So this is a simple definition. So again, a crime scene is any physical scene anywhere that may provide potential evidence to an investigator. It may include a person's body, any type of building, vehicles and objects found at those locations. It is the beginning point for obtaining evidence which will be used by the crime scene investigator and the forensic expert. So hope you understood the crime scene and definition of crime scene. Next is types of crime scene. So the only thing consistent about crime scene is their variety. Because of the diversity of possible scenes, there are many ways to define or classify crime scene. First, crime scenes can be classified according to the location of the original criminal activity. So here, this classification of the crime scene labels the site of the original or first criminal activity as the primary crime scene and any subsequent crime scene as secondary crime scene. So this is the classification based on location. So here two types of crime scene, that is primary crime scene and second one is secondary crime scene. So this classification does not assign any priority or importance to the scene, but is simply a designation of sequence of locations. For example, if a person is killed in an apartment and the body is then moved in a car trunk to a remote dump site, the apartment here is the primary scene, and whereas the car and the dump site are secondary crime scene. Hope you understood the first type based on location, that is primary crime scene and secondary crime scene. Now next is crime scene classification as per the size. So here second classification of crime scene is based on the size of crime scene. Using this classification, a single macroscopic crime scene such as house may actually be composed of many smaller or microscopic crime scenes. Here, for example, a gunshot victim's body dumped in a field represents the following crime scenes within the overall crime scene of the field. So here, the body, the body's wound, and the ground around the body. So these are the microscopic crime scene. The microscopic classification of the scene is more focused on the specific type of physical evidence found in the macroscopic crime scene. So here every single evidence can be called as microscopic crime scene. So using the previous example which we have discussed, the microscopic crime scenes are the trace evidence on the body, the gunshot residue around the wound, and the tire tread marks in the ground next to the body. So this was all about the classification as per the size. Now next is, so here it is another classification. Other descriptions of the crime scene includes those based on the type of crime committed. For example, homicide, robbery, sexual assault, etc. So here we'll discuss one by one. So first one is homicide, and homicide can be defined as the deliberate and unlawful killing of one person by another. That is homicide. Next one is robbery. So here robbery is the action of robbing a person or a place. And here the burglary is forceful entry into a building illegally with intent to commit a crime, and here especially theft, that is burglary. And next is sexual assault. So here sexual assault can be defined as a statutory offense that provides that it is a crime to knowingly cause another person to engage in an unwanted sexual act by force or threat. So this is the classification as per the type of crime. Next is classification by organization or disorganization of scene. So here first we'll talk about organized crime, that is there is a proper planning to commit a crime. Like if a crime is committed with a prior planning, it will be called organized crime. So dacoit, robbery, murder, so these are the type of organized crime where there must be a planning. So planning is must to do such kind of crimes, and this all type of crimes can be called as organized crime. So next is disorganized crime, that is without planning. So there is no such plannings are required, that is a crime committed without prior planning. And here the example of disorganized crime is accident. So here organized crime tends to be the bigger scale crime. For example, prostitution rings, smuggling groups, extortion, drug production, and large fraud and scamming groups. So this all type of crimes belongs to the organized crime category. Now any crime that requires several people and large sums of money is probably organized to an extent. And if someone sees an unattended bike left and steals it, that would not be organized crime. Hope you understood what exactly organized crime is and what exactly disorganized crime is. So now we'll move towards next, that is classification of crime scene as per the physical location. So here basically three types of crime scenes are there. First one is indoor crime scene, second one outdoor crime scene, and third one is vehicle crime scene, or we can call it as mobile crime scene. So now we'll discuss one by one. So first is indoor crime scene, and here indoor crime scene can be defined as crime committed inside a house or inside a building or inside a hotel. For example, murder, that is indoor crime scene, whereas outdoor crime scene can be defined as crime committed on open ground or in water, etc. For example, terrorist attack. So this is outdoor crime scene. And whereas vehicle crime scene, or we can call it as mobile crime scene, can be defined as crime committed in a vehicle. And here the example of mobile or vehicle crime scene is abduction. So this is the classification as per the physical location. Hope you have understood. Next is crime scene classification based on criminal behavior associated with the scene. So here again, this type of classification falls into two categories, that is passive and active. Here passive is indirect involvement and active is direct involvement of criminal. So in passive crime scene there will be a indirect involvement of that person who is criminal, whereas active crime scene may include the direct involvement of criminal. So this was all about the types of different crime scene. So now we'll study about the securing and isolating the crime scene. How one can secure and isolate the crime scene, and why is it so important to secure and isolate the crime scene, that we'll discuss in detail. So here, securing and isolating the crime scene is the role of first responding officers. So here first responders are those who visit the crime scene first. So the first important task of first responders is security of crime scene. So where he must take initial response or receipt of information. So it is one of the most important aspect of securing the crime scene is to preserve the scene with minimal contamination and disturbance of physical evidence. The initial response to an incident should be methodical. The initial responding officers upon arrival shall assess the scene and treat the incident as a crime scene. They shall cautiously approach and enter the crime scene. Now, the initial responding officer should note or log information, that is address or location where crime has taken place, then time and date, type of call and parties involved. Then he should also be aware of any persons or vehicles leaving the crime scene. Then he should approach the scene cautiously. He should scan the entire area to thoroughly assess the scene and note any possible secondary crime scene. Hope you know what is secondary crime scene. And also you should be aware of any person and vehicles in the victim that may be related to the crime. Then also make initial observation, that is you should look, you should listen, or you should smell to assess the scene and ensure officers' safety before proceeding. Also he should be responsible for remain alert and attentive, assume the crime is ongoing until determined to be otherwise. Also he is responsible to treat the location as a crime scene until assessed and determined to be otherwise. Also safety or safely direct additional responding units into the area. So his role is to safely direct additional responding units into the area. So this was all about initial responses. The next is safety procedures. So here the safety and physical well-being of officers and other individuals in and around the crime scene are the initial responding officers' first priority. So safety is the first priority. The initial responding officers arriving at the scene shall identify and control any dangerous situation or person. So here procedure of safety is the initial responding officer should ensure that there is no immediate threat to other responders. So for that he should scan area for sights, sounds and smells that may present danger to personnel. For example, hazardous materials such as gasoline or natural gas. If the situation involves a clandestine drug laboratory or biological weapons or radiological or chemical threats, the appropriate personnel or agency should be contacted prior to entering the crime scene. Also, he should approach the scene in a manner designed to reduce risk of harm to officers while maximizing the safety of victims, witness and others in the area. And thirdly, he should survey the scene for dangerous persons and control the situation. And at last, he should notify supervisory personnel and call for assistance or backup. Next is emergency care. So after controlling any dangerous situation or persons, the initial responding officer's next responsibility is to ensure that medical attention is provided to injured person while minimizing contamination of the scene. The initial responding officers shall ensure that medical attention is provided with minimal contamination of the scene. So here procedure is the FRO, that is first responding officer, should assess the victims for sign of life and medical needs and provide immediate medical attention if required. Then also next, he should call for medical personnel as soon as possible. Also he should guide medical personnel to the victim to minimize contamination or alteration of the crime scene. He should point out potential physical evidence to medical personnel, instruct them to minimize contact with such evidences. For example, ensure that medical personnel preserve all clothing and personal effects without cutting through bullet holes or knife tears, and document movement of persons or items by medical personnel. He should instruct medical personnel not to clean up the scene and to avoid removal of alteration of items originating from the scene. If medical personnel arrived first, obtain the name, unit and telephone number of attending personnel and the name and the location of the medical facility where victim is to be taken. So this all information should be noted by the FRO, that is first responding officer. If there is a chance the victim may die, attempt to obtain dying declaration. In some instances, fingerprint and shoe impression of medical personnel may need to be taken for elimination purpose. So this is the important role of FRO. Also, he should document any statements or comments made by victims, suspect or witness at the scene of crime. Also, if the crime or victim or suspect is transported to a medical facility, send a law enforcement official with the victim or suspect to document any comments made and preserve evidence. If no officers are available to accompany the victim or a suspect, stay at the scene and request medical personnel to preserve evidence and document any comments made by the victim or suspect. Also, FRO should safeguard evidence such as weapon that is taken into custody, follow chain of custody procedure as soon as the evidence is confiscated. Now, next is secure and control persons at the scene of crime. So here, controlling, identifying and removing persons at the scene of crime and limiting the number of persons who enter the crime scene and the movement of such person is an important function of the initial responding officers in protecting the crime scene. The initial responding officer shall identify persons at the crime scene and control their movement. So here procedure is FRO should control all individuals at the scene, prevent individuals from altering or destroying physical evidences by restricting movement, location and activity while ensuring and maintaining safety at the scene. Also, he should identify all individuals at the scene such as suspect. If suspect is found, then secure and separate him. Then witness, secure and separate the witnesses. And also bystanders, determine whether witness, if so, treat as above, if not, remove from the scene. The next is victims, family or friends. So here control while showing compassion. And also law enforcement, medical and other assisting personnel. So FRO should identify these all type of individuals at this scene of crime and he should secure and separate them. Also, he should exclude unauthorized and non-essential personnel from the scene. For example, law enforcement officials not working the case or politician or media personnel. Now next is boundaries. So here the role of FRO is to identify, establish, protect and secure the crime scene. So defining and controlling boundaries provide a means for protecting and securing the crime scenes. The number of crime scenes and their boundaries are determined by their locations and the type of crime. Boundaries are established beyond the initial scope of the crime scene with the understanding that the boundaries can be reduced in size if necessary but cannot be as easily expanded. The initial responding officers at the scene shall conduct an initial assessment of the extent of the crime scenes and then establish and control its boundaries. So here procedure is the initial responding officer should establish boundaries of these scenes starting at the focal point and extending outward to include where the crime is occurred, which also include potential points and paths of exit and entry of suspects and witness. Then place where the victim or evidence may have been moved. So here he should be aware of trace and impression evidence while assessing the scene. Also he should secure the crime scene. So for securing the crime scene, set up physical barriers, for example ropes, cones, crime scene barrier tape or available vehicles or personnel or other equipments. So this can be used for securing the crime scene or use existing boundaries, for example doors, walls or gates of that particular house or building. Also FRO should document entry and exit of all the peoples entering and leaving the scene once boundaries have been established. Next, he should protect the scene. For that, control the flow of personnel and animals entering and leaving the scene to maintain integrity of the scene. Next, he should institute measure to preserve or protect evidence that may be lost or compromised. For example, protect from the element that is rain, or protect from snow, protect from wind, and from footsteps, tire tracks, and sprinklers. Also, he should document the original location of the victim or any object that you observe being moved. And lastly, he should consider search and seizure issues to determine the necessity of obtaining consent to search or obtaining a search warrant. Now, next is turn over control of the scene and brief investigators in charge. So here, briefing the investigators taking charge assist in controlling the crime scene, helps establish further investigative responsibilities, and assist with the managing of resources. So here, FROs at the scene shall provide a detailed crime scene briefing to the investigating officers at the scene of crime. So here, FRO should brief the investigator taking the charge about the whole crime scene. He should assist IOs in controlling the scene. Then he should turn over responsibility for the documentation of entry or exit. Also, he should remain at the scene until relieved of duty. Then next duty of FRO is to document actions and observations. So here, all activities conducted and observation made at the crime scene must be documented as soon as possible after the event to preserve information. The initial responding officers shall maintain documentation as a permanent record. So here, procedure of documenting the crime scene is, so he should observe the crime scene, including the location of persons and items within the crime scene, and the appearance and condition of the scene upon arrival. Also, he should document condition upon arrival, for example, lights on or off, shades up or down, or open or close doors and windows, then smells of ice, liquids, or is there any movable furniture, then how was the weather condition, then what was the temperature, and along with this some different personal items. So these all things should be noted by the FRO. Then also he should document personal information from witness, victims, suspect, and any statement or comments made. Also, you should document their own actions and actions of other personals who are present at the scene of crime. Then next role is to establish a command post, that is incident command system, and make notifications. So here, setting up a location where crime scene investigation activities can be coordinated, media meetings can be held, and team meetings can occur is very valuable. This command post provides a central location for crime scene investigation activities and assessment of resources. The activities also relate to ensuring that other key investigative principles are told of the investigations and include in activities as needed. The investigator in charge shall set up a location where crime scene investigation activities can be coordinated, media meetings can be held, and team meetings can occur. So here, FRO should set up a temporary command post in location where media can take necessary photographs without jeopardizing the scene security. Then next is he should notify investigators or appropriate departments or any other agencies involved in crime scene investigations, such as of information gathered at this crime scene, discuss details of the crime scene during this step. He should notify communications department, that is dispatch department, of phone numbers at the command post. He should ask communication department to notify surrounding agencies and send teletypes regionally and nationally when a suspect has fled to the scene. These alerts should include a description of the suspect, vehicles involved, and contact information for the person these agencies should contact if they locate the suspect. Also, FRO should brief the supervisors as required. Also, investigating officers should verify that a command post is established. If not, make the necessary arrangements to correct the situation. Then he should debrief with first responder and investigating officers, make necessary assignments, recording each on a formal assignment sheet. Also, IO should use assignment sheet to record assignment updates throughout the investigation. Make this assignment sheet available to personnel working on the case. Assign evidence recorder, entry or exit recorder, who is responsible for keeping event timetable. IO should ensure that the communication department is aware of important contact phone numbers, including the command post. He should establish the status and locations of victims and suspect. Also, IO should establish the status of bulletins and that have been broadcast regarding victims and suspect. He should also ensure that missing suspect alerts are broadcast, establish a schedule for investigative team meetings which include all uninformed officers, during which status will be given, assignment updates will be made, and other key information will be shared. Then here the next role of FRO is to manage witnesses. So the timely interviewing of witness is crucial to the solution of crime. Witness to crimes must be identified, secured, questioned at the scene if applicable, and processed according to the departmental regulations. The investigators in charge shall identify and secure witness to crimes, interview them at the scene if applicable, and process them according to departmental regulations. So here, investigator in charge should interview any witness at the scene separately to best use their reported experiences to benefit the overall investigation, obtain written or recorded statement from each witness at the police station. Also, he should transport each witness to the police station separately from other witness or suspect. Also, he should, when possible, the following tasks should be performed by the supervising officer, which include establishing the status and location of each victim and suspect, establish the status of bulletins that have been broadcast regarding each victim and suspect, ensure that any necessary missing suspect alert is broadcast in a timely manner. So this was all about how one can secure and isolate the crime scene. And here the person who is responsible for securing and isolating the crime scene is first responding officer. So till now we have discussed the role of FROs and how he can assist investigating officers in their crime scene investigation. Hope you have understood how one can secure and isolate the crime scene. Now we'll move towards our next point, that is surveying the crime scene. So here for surveying, first step is to conduct scene assessment. So here assessment of the scene by investigators in charge allows for the determination of the type of incident to be investigated and the level of investigation to be conducted. The investigators in charge shall identify specific responsibilities, share preliminary information, and develop investigative plans in accordance with departmental policy and local, state, and federal laws. So here how to do scene assessment. So here the investigating officer in charge should converse with the first responders regarding observations or activities. He should evaluate safety issues that may affect all personnel entering this scene, for example, blood or waterborne pathogens and hazards. Then he should evaluate search and seizure issues to determine the necessity of obtaining consent to search or obtain a search warrant. Also, IO in charge should evaluate and establish a path of entry and exit to the scene to be utilized by authorized personnel. He should evaluate initial scene boundaries. Also, he should determine the number or size of scenes and prioritize. He should establish a secure area within close proximity to the scenes for the purpose of consultation and equipment staging. He should, if multiple scenes exist, he should establish and maintain communication with personnel at those locations. Also, he should establish a secure area for temporary evidence storage in accordance with rules of evidence, or we can call it as chain of custody. He should determine and request additional investigative resources as required, for example, personnel, specialized unit, legal consultation, prosecutors, or any other equipments. Then also, IO should ensure continued scene integrity, for example, document entry or exit of authorized personnel, prevent unauthorized access to the scene. The next is to ensure that witnesses to the incident are identified and separated. So for this purpose, he should obtain valid identity card. The next, he should also ensure the surrounding area is canvassed and the results are documented. The next, he should also ensure preliminary documentation or photography of the scene, injured persons and vehicles. So now next is he should conduct walkthrough and initial documentation. So here the scene walkthrough provides an overview of the entire scene, identifies any threats to scene integrity, and ensure protection of physical evidence. Written and photographic documentation provides a permanent record. A walkthrough should only be completed if there will be no disturbing of evidence. There may be the need for the immediate documentation and collection of evidence prior to the walkthrough. The investigators in charge shall conduct a walkthrough of the scene. The walkthrough shall be conducted with individuals responsible for processing the scene. So here procedure is, during this scene walkthrough, the investigator in charge should avoid contaminating this scene by using the established path of entry. Then he should consider whether personal protective equipment, that is PPE kit, should be used or not. He should prepare preliminary documentation, for example, notes, rough sketches, etc., of this scene as observed. He should identify and protect fragile or perishable evidences, for example, consider climatic conditions, crowds, hostile environment, etc. Ensure that all evidence that may be compromised is immediately documented, photographed, and collected. Also, when involved in the initial walkthrough, the IO should note the condition of this scene. So here he should record relevant observations, which may include things such as ceilings, doors, which including entry and exit points. Are they open, closed, locked, or forced open? On which side was the key? The next, they should record the windows. Are they open or closed? Is there any broken glass? Were they locked or forced open? So this also details should be recorded by the IOs. Then they should record the condition of lights, whether it was on or off. If left on, which lights were on, also recorded. Then he should also record shades or shutters, whether it is open or closed. Then also he should record floors or rugs and the interior lighting conditions. Then also you should record odors, if there is a presence of any cigarette smoke, gas, or smell of powder or perfume. Then he should record the description of perpetrator when present. Also he should record the description of crime related people present. Also description of emergency medical or search and rescue personnel present. Also he should record weapons observed, then furniture present, including location relative to victims as applicable, and overall scenes. Also IO should record signs of activity, that is meal preparation, dishes in sink, condition of housekeeping, whether it is clean, dirty, or items are in disarray. Then appliances left on, television or stereo left on. So here also, if television is on, then note the channel. The next is, you should record date and time indicators. So here mail, newspaper, dates on milk cartons, then stopped clocks, spoiled foods, items that should have been hot or cold but are at room temperature. And also you should record temperature of the room and environmental conditions, and develop a general theory of the crime. The next includes the note taking and logs. So this is the step of crime scene recording. So here note taking and logs provide a permanent record of crime scene activities. All personnel assigned to the crime scene investigation shall maintain notes and logs of their activities. Detailed entry and exit log should be created. An entry or exit log is used to document the people who come to and go from a crime scene during the investigation. Also, people who were at the crime scene before the investigation began are also noted in this log. The officer monitoring the log, that is log officer, is assigned the task by the supervising officer and is responsible for completing this task and monitoring the log at all times. The log officer is responsible for ensuring that the log is filled out thoroughly and anyone entering this scene has a stated purpose there. Also, position the log so that it is clearly visible. Set up the log for people to use when arriving to and departing from the scene. Also, record the following information about the crime scene. So here the informations like crime scene location, name of witness, name of victims, name of persons taken into custody, name of the first responders and approximate arrival times, and also the name of supervising officer and approximate arrival time. So here approximate time should be used if arrival time was before the log was established. Then also record the information below for each person at the scene. If not using an official log or forms, leave space where this information can be recorded. So here the information can be recorded are arrival date, time of arrival, name, identification and unit numbers, organization if not with the investigative department, and reason for being at the scene. Log information should include. So here the arrival and departure time of all personnel at the scene of crime, including the coroner or medical examiner, crime scene technicians and state's attorney. Also information about who is at the crime scene and why they are there, incident number, first responder's name, log officer and supervising officer's name, shield number, unit numbers, location of crime scene and name of victims. Before making it available to the crime scene visitors, record logistical data, that is time, crime scene location, names of victims and witnesses, etc. in entry and exit log. Ensure that departure time for any person departing from the scene is recorded prior to the person actually leaving. If someone exits the scene without reporting to the log officer, that officer can enter an estimated departure time along with a note stating the rationale for it being estimated. Store the log in a secure location and as mandated by departmental regulations. Now next is documentation. So an assessment of the scene determines what kind of documentation is needed. For example, whether there is a need of photography, videography, sketches or measurements or notes. So here the investigators in charge shall ensure documentation of the scene. So the team member should review the assessment of this scene to determine the type of documentation needed. Also, team members should coordinate photograph, video, sketches, measurements and notes. They should photograph. So here photography section for details. So here scene utilizing overall, medium and close-up coverage. So overall, medium and close-up photography should be done. Then evidence to be collected with and without measurement scale or evidence identifiers. Then victims, suspect, witness and crowd and vehicles also should be photographed. Then additional perspective, for example aerial photographs, then witness view, then area under body once body is removed. So this all kind of photography should be done. Then next is to record video as an optional supplement to photographs. Also they should prepare preliminary sketches and measure immediate area of the scene, noting case identifiers and indicating north on the sketch. Then relative location of items of evidences, correlating evidence items with evidence records. Then also measure evidence prior to movement, rooms, furnitures or other object, and also the distance to adjacent buildings or other landmarks. Then they should generate notes at the scene, which include document location of the scene, time of arrival and time of departure, describe the scene as it appears, record transient evidence, that is smell, sound, sights, and conditions which are temperature or weather conditions, and also document circumstances that require departure from usual procedure. So this was all about the surveying the crime scene. Who can survey the crime scene, how to survey the crime scene, and what are the different parts of surveying the crime scene, and how it assists IOs in their investigation. Hope you all have understood the surveying the crime scene. Now we'll move towards our next point, that is searching the crime scene. The thorough search of a crime scene helps ensure that all relevant evidence will be recognized, documented, and collected. The investigators in charge shall consider different search strategies for crime scenes depending upon local and the number of officials available to aid in searching. There are four types of search methods that can be considered to a search crime scene, that is lane or a strip search, grid search, zone search, spiral search. So now here general considerations are: the size of the lane of the search should be approximately the arm's length of the searcher. Then as the search of an area is completed, some marking should be made to indicate that the area has been completed. And also a mechanism should exist for the circumstances when potential evidence is found. For example, who is called over, what path they should take, whether the other searches should halt moving until this finding is resolved. So this is the brief introduction about the searching the crime scene. Now we'll move towards the next point. So here first method is line search method. So line, or we can also call it as strip searches, are accomplished by the searchers walking in a parallel along defined lines in the same direction. So you can see the picture how this type of pattern can be followed. So this is the line search method. Next is grid search method. So here a grid search is a lane search that is conducted by completing a lane search in one direction and then completing a lane search in a perpendicular direction. While it takes twice as long as a lane search, it provides a more thorough search of an area. So as compared to the previous method, this method is best. Now next is quadrant search method, or we can call it as zone search method. So here a zone search involves dividing the area to be searched into adjacent zones. As you can see there in a figure, that image, different zones are further categorized. So here the smaller the size of the zone, the more methodical the search can be. Zone searches may be done by multiple searchers as per the zone. So this was all about the quadrant search method. The next is spiral search method. So here spiral search involves a spiral into or out from a crime scene, that is inward or outward. A practical disadvantage with outward spiral searches is the evidence may be destroyed as the searchers move to the center of the crime scene area to begin their outward search. So you can see how inward and outward searching method is carried out. Then next is will search. So here the search method is suitable for outdoor crime scenes, for example on ground. So on ground this type of searching method can be applied. So this was all about the different evidence searching method. Now we'll move towards our next point, that is important things to do during a search. So here search from very general to the specific for evidences. Then while searching, be alert for all the evidences. Search entrances and exits, so from where investigating officer can maximum evidences, and also discuss the search with all the personnel. So these are the important things to do during a search. Now next is safety measures at crime scene. So depending on the situation, you will need to protect your head, eyes, lungs, hands, feet, and occasionally your entire body. The next, when you get to a crime scene, you should first make sure that the scene has been properly secured and protected before you begin to process it. And also, in order to secure the scene, the responding officer must conduct a thorough search to be sure that there are no suspects or physical dangers such as body traps still present. So these are the safety measures that can be taken on a scene of crime. Now next is to put on latex or nitrile gloves. So IO or any other officer should wear the gloves so that they cannot leave their fingerprint or palm print on a scene of crime. Also remember to cover your shoes or boots with rubber booties when you are indoor so that you cannot leave your footprints. Also remember to photograph the shoes of everyone at the scene, including first responders, officers, and technicians. Also protect your eyes with eyeglasses, goggles, or a face shield to protect your eyes from chemical splashes, fumes, or something bouncing into your eyes. The next is you must take the precautions of using a respirator with the proper filters to protect your lungs, since inhaling even small amount of some chemicals can be lethal. Also use mask that filters the air, will make your job much easier in such scenes where the air is filled with noxious odors from a decomposing body or other biohazards that makes it hard for you to do your job. Also use safety helmet and wear protection suit. So now next point is duties of first responders at scene of crime. So already we have discussed all the duties in detail. So we'll have a brief discussion now. So here FRO should note the time when he were dispatched or arrived on the scene, then when he has called a supervisory or specialized personnel to respond to the scene. Then also he should record the names and contact numbers for everyone present at scene upon their arrival. Then also he should rope off a very large area around the scene utilizing standard police crime scene tape. If it is not available, he can use other things such as rope, then police vehicles, police personnel, and any other means. Also he should keep everyone out and back so that crime scene or evidences cannot be contaminated. Also, he should ensure that only authorized persons are allowed inside the crime scene, and this should be limited to the crime scene investigators only. Also, he should establish a crime scene attendance log and maintain until the scene is released. Also, the log should include the name of the each person entering the scene, the date and time each person entered the scene, the reason for each person's entering the scene, and the date and time each person exits the scene. So this all type of information should be recorded in a log book by the FRO, that is first responding officer, or we can call it as initial responding officer. So also FRO is responsible for the protection of crime scene. So here crime scene should be protected from human vehicular traffic, animals, and also crime scene personnel. So here for the protection of crime scene personnel, they should use personal protective equipment, that is PPE kit. Also, they are not allowed to use toilets or telephones within the crime scene. So they should make sure that they should not use toilets or telephones within the scene of crime. So this was all about the role of FRO. So this was the brief discussion, but we have already discussed the in detail discussion about the FRO's job duties. So here the uniformed officer should provide crime scene security at all the times until the scene is released. So hope you all have understood these all points. If you have any questions, send your questions to my mail. And this is the end of your unit number 1, that is crime scene management. Thank you.